Hey everyone, I'm so excited about today's guest, Abica Dubay. It's going to be so amazing. Let me just go ahead and invite her in. You're in for a treat. We're going to talk all about mindfulness, and then I'm sure that is something that everybody needs to hear right now. Hey Abica,
Hey, how's it
how are
going?
you? Good. Good to see you.
You too.
It's been a minute.
I know, girl, it has been.
Yes, and I still haven't made it out to your studio. I need to come.
You'll get here, I know.
I can't wait. Yes. Okay. So to tell you all about our co-host, Abica, she is an RYT, which is registered yoga teacher, level 500, which is amazing. Studio in town. They have yoga, HIIT classes, much more. If you're in the area, you need to check it out. She's honestly, you and Charlie are like my favorite instructors in town, and I don't just
So
say things.
honored.
I don't just say things just to say it. I really mean that.
Especially to be up there with Shali, because
Yeah.
he's
He's
awesome.
awesome. Yes, but she's a Louisville native and actually got life, or I guess, would you call it licensed, I guess?
Certified, yeah.
Certified, got
Yeah.
certified in Los Angeles after you were actually studying to be an actor.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So she decided to pursue yoga, continued on, got your got another certification in Bali, which is awesome. Oh my God. And then has had yoga state for 6 months now. So I'm so excited to just chat with you. And first off, why don't you tell those that are watching that don't know you a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Like Victoria said, I'm a Louisville native. So I grew up here in the Highlands. My parents still live in the same old house, and I actually went to Los Angeles for school. I went out there for acting school. So I went to a small arts conservatory right outside of Los Angeles called Cal Arts. That's what took me out to LA. And then so I have a BFA in acting. That's what I got from there. It's actually Walt Disney's school, which is super cool. So he created this, his dream was to create this school that was all about sort of like avant-garde art, like really pushing the boundaries of art. So
Cool.
I think and that'll come into play later with yoga, but I definitely learned how to like be creative, out there. And then after I finished school, 4 years of it, I got an agent and just stayed out in LA. I knew my way around. I had friends, and just started working right away. But as the business goes, the acting world, you're on fire for a couple months and then you're not. I did the whole acting thing in LA for. I was out there for a while. I lived out there for 15 years. That's including the 4 years that I was in school. So I was out there for quite a while. And I always knew that I wanted to move back to Louisville. My whole family is still here. I joke all the time that Louisville, those of you that have never visited Louisville, be careful because Louisville will suck you in.
It does.
So it crawls us all back. It gets us back in. I just knew I wanted to come back, but I wanted to make sure that I, really felt good about the decision because point blank, I love LA. I love California. I was out there for a long time. It was home. And I started doing yoga actually in school. It was actually a class that I had to take for acting.
Wow.
And fell in love with it there. And then just slowly realized that I was wanting to teach more. After I got certified out there, I realized I was wanting to teach more and like making up excuses to tell my agent that I couldn't go to auditions. And I was like, this should tell me something. Maybe I'm ready to go home. And met a guy that was willing to move back here with me.
Yeah.
So we're here. I've been back for about 3 years now. And the dream of Yoga State, owning my own studio, has always been there. It was just a matter of being really patient and waiting for the right time for it to happen. And 6 months ago, in the middle of the pandemic, I guess that's when I decided it was a good idea for it to happen. And here we are. Yeah, that's me.
That's so cool. It's funny. I feel like we have a lot more in common than I even knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm originally from here, went to school away. Somehow I was thinking the same thing. Louisville brought me back, and I met my husband in college, and he came back here.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. I don't meet that many people with that story. That's
yeah.
awesome. So why yoga though? Of course, yeah, you like to go into class, but just because you like going to class doesn't mean you want to teach or that you want to have a studio. So what drew you to yoga so much?
Right. So I think it definitely started with acting. I mean, from when I was young, I wanted to be an actor. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And then having it be a class when I was in college, and, it was basically just, get out of your head and get a straight spine so you look like really great on stage, right? So it was this whole total physical aspect. That's why I had to take it for acting school. And so I ended up just really falling in love with it, falling in love with the movements. I have like a tiny bit of a dance background, not really, it's more acting, and I just like had to take dance classes. I call myself a mover, not a dancer. And so it had that sort of like fluidness to it that I really loved. It was challenging, which I loved. I also grew up as a swimmer. I swam for Lakeside here in Louisville. I swim USS, so I was really competitive. So it's funny working in this like mindfulness world now, I still have this insane competitive edge to me too, that like endurance athlete. But I think, I don't have, a lot of people I think have this story about how yoga saved their life, and that's wonderful. And like, that's amazing that yoga was able to do that. But for me, I think it was just much more gradual. It was just something that, first it was something that I had to do. It was a class. I had to go take it. And then it was something that, I started feeling physical benefits from. And then it was something that I started feeling mental benefits from. And then it became even bigger than that. And when I started really practicing in studios, it became about community. And that's, I think, what really did it for me. I was like, man, there's a group of awesome human beings all in one spot, sweating together, clearing their heads together, and then giving back to the community together. And that just sealed it for me. So that's why yoga.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, if you can get into a good community, and we have a lot of cool studios here, but we have some really good ones and some, yeah, it's good. Yeah. But the community is, I believe, what sets them apart, because when you can go into a place and you feel welcomed and, everyone's just kind of doing their thing together, flowing together, there's nothing like it. I totally agree. There's nothing like it. So on the topic of mindfulness, because of how crazy this year has been, that's why I wanted to do this. What does mindfulness mean to you?
Mindfulness, I was thinking about this a couple days ago, but truly I think mindfulness for me, a lot of it comes down to awareness. And just being aware in your own body, being aware with your own actions, being aware of how you're being perceived and how you put off and how, all that stuff. And then on top of that, so like once you're sort of, in this awareness state, in this state of awareness, then it becomes sort of like a reserved setback, right? It's a little bit more listening and a little less talking. And it's just being healthy with your body, taking the time for your body and your mind. And I know that might seem like scattered things, like three completely different things, but I think when you sort of combine all of those, that's a mindfulness, it's an awareness. It's being kind to yourself and to others. And it's a lot of listening. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense. And I mean, you have to be nice to your neighbor, be nice to people, but you have to be nice to yourself first.
Yes.
We can't have that negative self-talk and all of that going on.
Yeah. And it's so easy to fall into.
Yes, it is. So then how do you practice mindfulness like on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think I practice mindfulness definitely through yoga for sure, through meditation for sure, through sweating and sort of that release for sure. And then also, I think that there's this aspect of reading a lot and writing a lot. And, sort of, some people count their blessings every night. I write in a gratitude journal every night, so it's those small little practices. And then again, just the awareness of like what I'm putting in my body, what I'm not putting in my body, how I'm treating my body, how that self-talk, like how I'm talking to myself. So, and it's tough, like I'll be the first one to admit it. This is my line of business, but I'll be the first one to admit it. Like every day is not full of mindfulness for me by any stretch of the imagination. I'm human, but even that, like knowing that and being aware of that, I think that's mindfulness, so yeah.
I agree. So for those that aren't that familiar with the term mindfulness, I feel like it's kind of like a buzzword now, but
Yeah, sure.
that and, and meditation even, how would you differentiate the two, or are they the same?
No, I don't think, well, they can be very similar, and I think they probably have this like wavering interaction, right? But I think that they are definitely two very different things. I think meditation is definitely a tool to mindfulness. So in your meditation practice, and it can be any sort of it can be a moving meditation, it can be just a sitting still meditation, whatever that meditation is. An eating meditation. I mean, there are so many types of meditations. But yeah. But so I lost my train of thought there. But mindfulness, is more of this doing. It's more of like an action. And I think meditation is more of sort of a state and like a being and a stillness that is within the mind anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So then, okay, can you tell us a little bit more about these different types? Because I've never heard anybody say, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so I am, truthfully, I really didn't have a strong meditation practice until I went to Bali and got my 300 hour. And the world of meditation just exploded for me. I had two wonderful teachers, Deep and Bijet, and both of them lived in the ashrams for many, many years and just are full yoga from, little tiny BBs. And we had to practice a lot of these different meditations. So for instance, like an eating meditation, like a lot of times you don't really think about eating as a meditation. But every night for dinner, we had to eat in silence. And so it's just a really different way to focus on just that one thing you're doing. So, and I'll tell you what, like, maybe it was because, I'm sure half of it was because I was in Bali and I was getting all these exotic fruits and it was wonderful and delicious, but food has never tasted so good. Wow. And my husband's a chef, so I sort of shouldn't say that too loud, right? But there's something about it's when your sole focus is just on this one sense, this one act of doing. So that can translate just as easily to a meditation of like swimming or running. So a lot of times when I swim, it's a meditation for me, just because it's in my body knows what to do, just lap after lap after lap. My brain just goes. I stop thinking and I just swim. So even though I'm doing something, just the fact that I'm doing that one thing, focusing on that one thing for long enough, lets me go. Yeah. Wow. So, and then of course there's just like the sitting still, and I think what a lot of people think of as meditation is having to like sit upright really tall in like this crazy lotus leg position with their legs all pretzeled up. Yes. And yes, that's definitely part of it. But I would say like I'm still working towards that. Like I've got different meditation practices that I work with, because I do have a hard time sitting still. I'm very much an active person. And so I can find my meditations in these different ways. And like I said, I think it's only been this past year that I really started to be able to sit and close my eyes and just be for, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. So.
Well, that's definitely encouraging, because I'm like,
no,
it's
take
hard.
your time with it. It is hard. Meditation is hard.
Yes, it is. It's hard to sit there and focus on one thing, especially with, there's just so many distractions out there.
Yes.
And it's hard to sit still for longer than a couple minutes and not, keep going.
Absolutely.
So what advice do you have for someone that is wanting to practice more mindfulness and wanting to do meditation? How do they start? Where do they start?
Well, I think yoga is a great place to start. And the reason I say that, I think there's something to be said for, these like banger workouts. Like, I'm like I said, I'm a swimmer, and you see me at Cycle Bar all the time. You know what I mean? We ride together. So, I love that sweat. I love to just get out of my head. But what I'll say about yoga is there's always a theme involved. At least that's what I've created here at Yoga State and what my teachers bring in. And whether that theme be simple as gratitude for the day, or filling your own cup, making sure that you're satisfied before you can satisfy and love on everybody else in your life, and so it's this all-encompassing sort of, you can come and you can sweat and you can get challenged and you can get out of your head, where you're just focusing on body and listening to this theme and sort of allowing the work to start there. But then there's also this really wonderful side for those people that are like, well, I don't want to sweat, but all that theming sounds good. There's restorative and yin yoga, which we have here at Yoga State as well. So you can really just let the body relax on big bolsters. They're like pillow things. I think that's them right there. And I think it's just this gift that you give to yourself for just 60 minutes, 45 minutes, out of the day. I think that is a great place to start. And if you're looking to get interested in meditation, I think any sort of move, if you're like a type A person that like needs to move, you're doing it. You're meditating. Like when you're on that bike and cycle bar, like that's a little bit of a meditation. Absolutely. Because you're out of your head, right? Like you're totally focused on not stopping pedaling. But eventually, right. Even sitting still, just closing your eyes for like 2 minutes and just seeing, right? Just starting with like 2 minutes a day. I did a lot of that when I got back from Bali because I was so distracted. It was very easy for me to sort of be in Bali with a room of people that were all like-minded and sitting and meditating. But when I came back, I found it definitely a little more tough. So I just took 2 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 minutes on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and slowly just upped it 7 minutes to set your alarm and sit there and see. And then otherwise, in terms of meditation, there's actually some really great apps out there, like Calm and Headspace. And I even brought, this book is one of my favorites for meditation.
Okay.
So the guy that actually came up with the Headspace app wrote this book, and it's awesome. I mean, it basically breaks down what meditation is, that it's, not this scary thing. And it offers a lot of practices in there as well. So like sort of read it, put the book down, go back and, keep reading and all that. So I was definitely a book that helped me.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned just sitting there and seeing. What does that mean?
Sitting there and what?
You said sitting there and seeing. Are you seeing? Are you like focusing on something? You said sing, or did I miss?
No, I didn't say singing. No.
Oh, seeing. Like seeing. I'm seeing you. I see you.
Oh, just sitting there and being, maybe?
Being. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that was it. I was like, no, I don't
being.
sing during my meditation. But I mean, I guess you could do a little mantra or something.
That makes sense. You said being. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then for those that don't know about like vinyasa, because I forgot to mention that your studio focuses mainly on vinyasa flow, which I know is my favorite, but can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so Vinyasa Flow, it's essentially you're linking one pose to the next in a very safe and alignment-based way. So oftentimes you work towards a peak pose. So you're slowly warming the body up through these different movements until eventually, like, bam, all of a sudden you're in this like crazy pose that you never thought you'd be able to get into. But what I love about Vinyasa Flow is it's a little bit more cardio. So it's a little bit more moving. You're really going to, I'm really trying to like something, you use the word debunk, which I think is great. You know, this idea that yoga is just sort of this like loungy, sitting around thing, like it's not, it is, but there's also this awesome side to it that you can just crank up the music and just flow and sweat. So yes, Vinyasa Flow, a little bit more cardio based. You're moving just a little bit faster. And it's all linked together. So instead of just doing like a pose and then coming out of it and then doing a pose and then coming out of it, you're continuously moving. Yes. And yeah, that's basically Vinyasa Flow.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Okay, so any tips for people that feel completely overwhelmed and that want to center themselves, that need to figure out some type of strategy, you know, to be mindful and, you know, maybe mindful and not focus necessarily on all the negative, but kind of bring in more positive, bring in more, you know, light and love to themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think any form of working out is gonna, because when you work out, right, you're taking time for yourself. Mm-hmm. Right. So just what we've been saying, you're taking, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour and a half, right? You're taking time for yourself. You're filling yourself back up, because your loved ones don't want you coming home all cranky and snapping at everybody, right?
No.
So the minute you even just take a little bit of that time for yourself, you become a little bit more patient. And what's cool about it is, like, whether you know it's happening or not, and truthfully, like as a swimmer, that's why I'm so addicted to this, like a little bit more like hardcore yoga, this faster moving yoga, is because it does allow you to just sweat it out and get everything out, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely anything like that. There's also these, I mentioned before, this book is excellent, but those apps like Calm or Headspace, they really are, they're cool. You can like set it to be like, oh, I think I'll listen to like forest noises and have somebody talk me through a meditation for only 2 minutes, you know, or you can pick like, oh, I want to do just a 15-minute one of a sailboat like bumping in the water or something like that. So it really is cool to just, because a lot of times you need that sort of background noise, something to focus, that one thing just to focus on to really help you get out of your head. But honestly, I think it's just taking time out of every day, whether it be 5 minutes or 90 minutes, but making it for yourself. Whether it is, if you were like, man, I've been wanting to make my grandma's chocolate chip cookies, you know, for weeks now, and I haven't had time because kids are crazy. I need to walk the dogs. Work is a mess. Take the time and make the damn cookies. It's going to make you feel better. You know what I mean? Yes. Or just go out and be in nature. Oh, nature is such a great way to center you right back to where you need to be. Taking a walk outside, enjoying the sunlight while we still have it. Right. But yeah, I think anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, and I know you kind of touched on this, but any other common misconceptions about maybe yoga or mindfulness that you hear that you would like to debunk?
Yeah, you know, I basically said it. You know, it's this fine line between saying like, oh, you know, yoga isn't just this sitting around thing of all, you know, just a bunch of people in a room like humming and oming, you know. But on the offset, it's also not just, you know, I think what we have totally like Americanized. We've turned yoga into a workout, you know, and I will be the first one to admit that. Like, I love that. You know what I mean? But I think it's this why it's both of these things, and it's everything in between. And truly, in terms of what we bring in a yoga studio, what most studios are bringing you is only the asana aspect of yoga. And asana means the postures. So it's just the physical part of yoga. So just remembering that yoga, it's a lifestyle, you know, it's not just the 60 minutes you walk into the studio and, you know, are there. It's when you leave too, you know, and sort of making this transition in your life, and making this shift in your life, and making a commitment to yourself. And you can get there by laying around on some bolsters and just settling into your breath, or blaring the music and coming into a crazy wild vinyasa class. So yeah, so I just think there's something for everyone. So you know, to the people who think it's just meditation, come to one of my sweat classes. You know, for the people who are like, what is she doing? I've seen her Instagram, I can't do any of that stuff. Come to one of the still classes, you know. So there's something for everybody. Yoga is literally for everybody and everybody.
Yes, that's awesome. I totally agree. Okay, well, thank you, Abica. But before we leave, I want to ask you, I like to end with like a fun fact. So what is your fun fact?
My fun fact, I don't know if this is very fun, but I guess a fun fact about me is my name, Abica, is sort of a strange name. And I got it from my mom found it on a Native American tombstone, actually.
Really?
So when she was really young. But the fun part about the story is when I was 3 years old, she was like, let's go see where you got your name. And I was like, okay, cool, you know, and whatever. We go back there, and she actually misread it. It said Abigail.
That is really funny.
Yeah, it said Abigail, wow. But the tail of the G and the IL were worn away from old age. So
that is so funny. Well,
so I am literally the only Abica you've ever met.
That's so funny. At least you have a unique name, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yes. Okay. So thank you again so much. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you for having me. This was so great. I so appreciate you making this platform for people. I think it's so important. So keep doing what you're doing, girl. And I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
And before you go, though, if you wouldn't mind to tell people where they can find you so that they can, you know, follow along, stay in touch, come to the studio.
Yeah. So my Instagram is right here. You're at Yoga Meets Abica. And then our studio, we're called Yoga State. So it's S Yoga and then ST number 8. So it's to 8. And then, so Instagram, super simple, at Yoga State. And then our website is yogastate.com. Simple as that. And you can literally find all the information you need about classes, class descriptions, the temperatures of all the classes, teachers, all that stuff. If you're new, we have a whole newbies tab on there. We got you covered. Basically, you just need to show up. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. And,
thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Victoria. I appreciate it, girl. All right. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
Wow, what a great live. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to post this replay very soon. I just wanted to try to find a graphic really quick to show you all. I like to kind of talk about something every single time. And today at 7 o'clock, I'm actually going to be going live again with one of my cool sideline sisters in Arbonne. We're going to talk about 30 days to healthy living. I know lots of people are looking for a lifestyle change. Well, this has been an amazing one for me. I did it back in June. I'm going to be doing it again in January next month, along with my husband and several other people. I will personally be coaching you through this. As you can see on my screen, all the different products that are included. I'm going to show you everything. Sorry, I had a little alarm that came on. I'm going to be showing everything live tonight with Ayana. So join us tonight at 7. and you'll see all the products, get all the details. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Thank you again for joining me this week for your weekly wellness dose. I will be back again next week. I'm actually going to have a friend of mine that's a doula, and we're going to be talking about being well as a mama, as a new mom. So I'm sure we'll have lots of great information. Again, I like to say my disclaimer that we're not medical doctors. So any of our suggestions are just based on our own life experience and prior knowledge that we have gained. But again, thank you so much for joining me on this Monday's Muse, your weekly wellness dose. Hope y'all have a great Monday, rest of the week. It's almost New Year's Eve. It's almost time to celebrate 2021, y'all. We got to do it big, okay? All right. Talk to you later. Bye.